Hey everyone, welcome back to Postcard Views. Think your Canadian passport is a golden ticket? Well, in 2025, some countries are giving Canadians the cold shoulder. It's like showing up at a fancy restaurant in flip-flops, sometimes you're just not welcome. We're counting down 10 spots where that maple leaf might not fly. From visa nightmares to local tensions, we've got the scoop on why your dream trip might need a serious rethink. Stick around to find out which sunny vacation destination is now off-limits and which unexpected places are closing their doors to Canucks. 10. Saudi Arabia, from Vision 2030 to closed doors. Hey there, fellow Canadians. Remember when Saudi Arabia was all about rolling out the red carpet for tourists with their fancy Vision 2030 plan? Well, hold on to your toques because things have taken a wild turn in 2025. Turns out, our maple leaf passport isn't exactly getting a warm welcome in the desert kingdom these days. So, what's the deal? It all started back in 2018 when Canada decided to speak up about human rights issues in Saudi Arabia. The Saudis weren't too thrilled about that. They threw a diplomatic tantrum, giving our ambassador the boot and cutting ties faster than a hockey player on a breakaway. For a hot minute, things seemed to be cooling down. But then Canada went and opened its mouth again, criticizing Saudi policies. Big oops. Now, the Saudis have slapped us with some seriously strict visa rules. If you're Canadian and dreaming of Arabian Nights, you might want to wake up because getting into Saudi Arabia is about as likely as finding a palm tree in Nunavut. We're talking no more trips to check out the jaw-dropping UNESCO site of Alula or that mind-bending futuristic city project, NOM. You know, all those cool spots Saudi Arabia was banking on to become the next big thing in Middle East tourism? Yeah, we're not invited to that party anymore. But here's the real kicker, while Saudi Arabia is giving us the cold shoulder, our neighbors to the south are probably having a grand old time exploring the kingdom. It's like being the only kid not invited to the coolest birthday party on the block. Now, if you're still itching for some desert vibes and don't want to give up on your Arabian adventure, don't worry. The United Arab Emirates and Qatar are still giving us Canadians the thumbs up. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, they're all saying come on over. These spots are serving up world-class attractions, luxury experiences, and a healthy dose of culture, all without the visa headaches. Just goes to show, one country's no-go zone can lead to unexpected discoveries elsewhere. 9. Russia, from Kremlin dreams to cold reality. Alright, folks, let's talk about a place that's giving Canadians the cold shoulder, and I'm not talking about Winnipeg in January. Remember when visiting the Kremlin was just a plane ticket away? Well, in 2025, Russia's playing a whole new game with Canadian travelers. It's like the country's frozen in time for us maple leaf passport holders. So, what's the deal? Canada's been wagging its finger at Russia over the Ukraine situation, and Putin's not exactly thrilled. He's put Canada in the international naughty corner. And this isn't just about missing out on vodka and those cute little nesting dolls. In 2025, if you're Canadian, Russia's giving you a big fat nyet at the border. Those dreams of seeing Red Square? Put 'em on ice. The Trans-Siberian Railway adventure? Sorry, but that train has left the station without you. Now, I know what some of you adventure seekers are thinking, I'll just sneak in. Well, getting caught could land you a stay in a place that makes your high school detention look like a 5-star resort. And trust me, you don't want to test that theory. But here's the real kicker, even if you somehow get in, you're pretty much on your own if things go south. The Canadian Embassy in Moscow? It's running on fumes. Limited capacity, they call it. I call it good luck getting help if you need it. And it's not just about missing out on the touristy stuff. We're talking serious political drama here. The Canadian government is saying, stay away unless it's absolutely necessary. They're worried about Canadians getting caught up in some arbitrary detention shenanigans. And if you've got dual citizenship? Boy, you better watch out. There have been cases of dual nationals facing some pretty sketchy politically motivated charges. 8. South Sudan, where independence meets instability. Alright, folks, if you thought Russia was giving Canadians the cold shoulder, wait till you hear about this place. Ever wondered what happens when a brand new country goes off the rails? South Sudan's got that down to an art form. And for Canadians? It's downright dangerous. Let's talk about South Sudan, the world's youngest country that's been having one heck of a tantrum since it was born. This kid got its independence in 2011, and instead of throwing a party, it decided to throw punches. Civil war kicked off in 2013, and it's been a mess ever since. We're looking at some seriously scary numbers here. Nearly 400,000 people have died in this conflict. That's like the entire population of Halifax just gone. And things haven't calmed down by 2025. This place is still a powder keg with a lit fuse. The Canadian government isn't mincing words about this one. They're basically saying, stay away unless you have a death wish. We're talking kidnappings, carjackings, and random violence as your daily special. And that's just your average Tuesday in South Sudan. But here's the real kicker: even if you manage to dodge all the bullets, literally, you're not out of the woods. Over 60% of the population needs emergency humanitarian assistance. This crisis has left the country without basic services, including healthcare. The Canadian government is warning that even minor injuries or illnesses could turn into a disaster movie real quick. There's a severe lack of functioning hospitals and medical facilities. So, if you're the type who likes to live on the edge, maybe stick to bungee jumping instead of booking a ticket to South Sudan. 7. Iran, where history and hostility collide. Alright folks, if you thought some countries were giving Canadians the cold shoulder, wait till you hear about Iran. They've basically slammed the door shut on Canadian citizens. Yeah, you heard that right. In 2025, Iran officially banned Canadians from entering the country. It's like the ultimate "you can't sit with us" moment in international politics. Remember when Canada shut down its embassy in Tehran back in 2012? Well, Iran's still holding on to that grudge like it's going out of style. They're still steamed about Canada calling them out on human rights issues and that whole nuclear program situation. It's like a global game of "I'm not talking to you." Now, if you're thinking about using your dual citizenship as a clever loophole, better think again. Iran doesn't play that game. They don't recognize dual nationality, so if you're Iranian Canadian, congrats. You're just Iranian to them. And let me tell you, that's not exactly hitting the jackpot in this scenario. Even if you somehow made it into Iran, your credit card would be as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Thanks to all those international sanctions, you'd have better luck bartering with seashells and buttons. The real tragedy? All that incredible history and culture you're missing out on. Persepolis and the Nasir al-Mulk Mosque are like the Beyoncé and Jay-Z of historical sites, but you can't get tickets to the show. It's a stark reminder of how political tensions can cut us off from some of the world's greatest treasures. If you're still craving some Middle Eastern vibes, maybe look at Turkey or Azerbaijan instead. Turkey's got those bustling markets and ancient ruins, while Azerbaijan's rocking that whole blend of tradition and modernity thing. Plus, your passport won't turn into a one-way ticket to an international incident. 6. Yemen, where war trumps wonders. Alright folks, let's talk about a place where your travel insurance might as well be toilet paper. Yemen in 2025 is completely off-limits for Canadian travelers. Ever wondered what it's like to visit a country where even the government advises against breathing the air? Yemen is dangerous, plain and simple. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, man, how bad can it really be? Well, let me paint you a picture. Yemen's been a war zone since 2014. That's over a decade of conflict, folks. And the numbers? They're not pretty. We're talking about a humanitarian crisis that's off the charts. Over 21 million people, that's about 80% of the population, need humanitarian aid. It's like the entire population of Florida suddenly forgot how to feed themselves. And it's not just about food. Healthcare? Good luck finding a Band-Aid, let alone a hospital that's still standing. So, you're still thinking about going? Let me ask you this, how do you feel about playing hide-and-seek with kidnappers? Because in Yemen, kidnappings are more common than coffee shops. And it's not just rebel groups you need to worry about. The whole country's infrastructure has fallen apart. But here's the real kicker: even if you somehow made it in, good luck getting out. Canada doesn't even have an embassy there anymore. If you get into trouble, you're on your own, buddy. It's like playing a video game with no save points and permanent death enabled. So, if you're looking for an adrenaline rush, maybe try bungee jumping instead. At least there, someone's holding the other end of the rope. Yemen in 2025 isn't just off the beaten path, it's a one-way ticket to trouble. Trust me, there are safer ways to spice up your Instagram feed than visiting a war zone. 5. North Korea, where Hermit Kingdom meets Canadian cold shoulder. Alright folks, let's talk about a place where your maple leaf might as well be a bullseye. North Korea in 2025 is about as welcoming to Canadians as a porcupine at a balloon party. Seriously, if you thought getting into your ex's Instagram account was tough, try crossing the DMZ. Now, I know what you're thinking. But I've always wanted to see the world's biggest stadium. Well, tough luck, buddy. In 2025, North Korea's giving Canadians the cold shoulder harder than a snowman in Winnipeg. The whole country's off-limits to us, with no guided tours, no fancy hotels, nothing. It's like trying to navigate a labyrinth where every turn leads to a dead end. But here's the real kicker: even if you somehow manage to sneak in, which, by the way, is a terrible idea, you'd be in more hot water than a lobster at a seafood festival. See, in North Korea, they've got this fun little thing where government-approved guides have to babysit you 24/7. And it's not just about control, it's also about safety. If you so much as sneeze without permission? Well, let's just say their idea of a timeout involves a lot more manual labor and a lot less Netflix. And don't think your sparkling Canadian personality will save you. Diplomatic relations between Canada and North Korea in 2025 are about as warm as a polar bear's toenails. If you get into trouble, you're on your own. No embassy, no consulate, no friendly Canadian face to bail you out. But wait, there's more. North Korea's still playing with nukes like they're firecrackers, which means international sanctions are tighter than your grandma's Tupperware lids. So even if you did make it in, good luck buying so much as a postcard. Your credit card's about as useful there as a chocolate teapot. Trust me, folks, when it comes to North Korea, staying home is your best bet. 4. Libya, where ancient ruins meet modern chaos. Alright folks, let's talk about a place where your maple leaf might as well be a target. Welcome to Libya, where ancient wonders meet modern warfare. Ever wondered what happens when you mix Roman ruins with rebel groups? Get ready for a wild ride. Since Gaddafi's final curtain call in 2011, Libya's been about as stable as a Jenga tower in an earthquake. In 2025, this country's got more armed groups than a hockey arena's got pucks. And they're not exactly rolling out the welcome mat for us Canucks. Here's the scoop: Libya's consistently in the top 10 most dangerous countries, according to the Global Terrorism Index. It's like they're aiming for the high score in chaos. Kidnappings become the local specialty, with armed groups snatching up foreigners faster than we grab Timbits on game day. Now for the real gut punch. All that incredible history is just out of reach. Leptis Magna and Sabratha, some of the world's best-preserved Roman cities, are collecting more dust than a forgotten library. These ancient marvels are caught in the crossfire of modern conflicts, turning archaeological treasures into no-go zones. Think you can handle it? Well, our government's waving more red flags than a referee at a rowdy hockey match. They've slapped Libya with a big "do not travel" warning. And here's the kicker: even if you somehow snuck in, good luck getting out. Canada doesn't even have an embassy there anymore. You'd have better odds finding a polar bear in the Sahara than getting consular help in Libya. But hey, if you're still craving some North African vibes, why not check out Tunisia or Morocco instead? You can still get your fill of Mediterranean beaches and ancient ruins, minus the whole fearing for your life thing. Sometimes, the smartest adventure is knowing when to change course. 3. Ukraine, from Eurovision dreams to war-torn reality. Alright folks, remember when Ukraine's biggest worry was picking the perfect Eurovision song? Well, those days are long gone. Now, it's all about surviving in a country that's become a real-life war zone. And I'm not just talking about a small part of Ukraine here. This conflict's got its fingers in every pirogue, if you know what I mean. We're looking at entire regions like Donetsk, Luhansk, and parts of Zaporizhia where daily shelling, missile strikes, and ground offensives are the new normal. It's like a Michael Bay movie, but without the cool explosions and definitely without the happy ending. And if you're thinking, I'll just stick to the safe areas, think again. There aren't any truly safe areas. Picture this, you're a tourist trying to get that perfect selfie in front of St. Sophia's Cathedral when suddenly air raid sirens start blaring. In 2023 alone, over 300 air strikes hit non-military targets. These missiles don't care if you're a soldier or a selfie-taking tourist. Even the Canadian government is waving red flags like it's a bullfighting arena. They're basically saying, stay away, eh? The security situation is about as predictable as a game of Russian roulette, but with worse odds. And if you think the Canadian embassy will swoop in to save you like some maple syrup-powered superhero, think again. They're stretched thinner than your grandma's pie crust. But wait, there's more. Even if you manage to dodge the bullets and bombs, you've still got to deal with the economic fallout. Inflation's hitting over 20%, making everything from fuel to medicine harder to find than a Tim Hortons in the Sahara. So unless you're planning on starring in your own personal war movie, maybe stick to watching Ukraine on the news instead of visiting in person. 2. Belarus, Europe's last dictatorship gives Canada the cold shoulder. Hey there, folks. Welcome back to another wild ride through the world's not-so-friendly spots for us Canadians. Today, we're taking a trip to Belarus, and let me tell you, it's not exactly a walk in the park. Picture this, it's 2025 and Belarus is like a time capsule of the Soviet era, but with smartphones. Sounds cool, right? Well, not if you're Canadian. Our maple leaf passport is about as welcome there as a vegetarian at a barbecue competition. The 2021 plane incident left a lasting impact on diplomatic relations. Belarus remains unapologetic, and they're certainly not extending a warm welcome to Canadians in its aftermath. Now, you might be dreaming of those beautiful forests and charming villages. They're stunning, sure, but they're not worth risking a stay in a Belarusian jail. In 2025, Belarus is cozier with Russia than ever, leaving us Canadians about as popular as a skunk at a garden party. Here's the kicker, even if you somehow get in, good luck getting help if things go south. Canada's diplomatic influence in Belarus is practically non-existent. They don't even recognize dual citizenship, so Canadian Belarusians might as well leave their maple leaf at home. Protests? Forget about it. Even liking the wrong Facebook post could land you in hot water. They've got strict travel restrictions on us Canadians, and arbitrary detention is a real risk, especially if they suspect anti-government sentiment. The real shame? All that history you're missing out on. Mir Castle, Brest Fortress, all off-limits unless you fancy playing Russian roulette with your freedom. With the economy in shambles and inflation through the roof, it's not exactly a shopper's paradise either. So, there you have it, Belarus in 2025, where Canadian travelers face a perfect storm of political tension, economic instability, and unpredictable restrictions. Stay tuned for our next destination on this global tour of travel no-go zones. 1. Syria, where ancient wonders meet modern warfare. Welcome back, folks. Today we're diving into Syria, and let me tell you, it's like a ticking time bomb. This ain't your grandma's vacation spot, it's more like a real-life game of Minesweeper where you really don't want to click the wrong square. Syria's ancient wonders are taking a beating from modern warfare. Those iconic landmarks you've seen in history books? They're right in the middle of a war zone now. It's as if someone decided to play Battleship with all the cool stuff you learned about in school. The Canadian government is waving so many red flags, it's like a bullfighting arena out there. They're basically saying, don't even think about it, because of terrorism, kidnapping, and arbitrary detention risks. Even aid workers are being targeted for ransom or propaganda. So unless you want to star in the next hostage video, maybe stick to watching Syria on the History Channel. Now, let's talk cash. Syria's economy is in such a nosedive, it makes your high school grades look good. The Syrian pound is worth less than the paper it's printed on, and inflation is over 100%. That means your Canadian dollars are about as useful as monopoly money. Want a loaf of bread? That'll cost you your firstborn child, please. But wait, there's more. If you somehow ignore all the warnings and end up in hot water, don't expect the Canadian cavalry to come riding in. There's no Canadian embassy in Syria, which means no consular support. The nearest help is in Lebanon, and that's assuming you can even get there. It's like being stuck in a really bad reality show with no producers to bail you out. So, unless you're looking to add "survived a war zone" to your resume, maybe cross Syria off your travel list for now. Stick to safer destinations where the biggest danger is a sunburn or a bad case of tourist tummy. Alright folks, we've reached the end of our world tour of not-so-friendly spots for Canadians in 2025. But don't let this list get you down. Remember, these travel advisories can change faster than a hockey player on a breakaway, so keep an eye on those official updates. The world's still full of places where our maple leaf is welcome. Why not check out the United Arab Emirates, Kenya, or Turkey? They're ready to show you a good time, snow-free. So, pack your bags and get ready for new adventures. Have you been to any of these countries? Share your experiences in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button for more travel insights.